The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. Bellator 289. You'll be back in action, Kevin. And I just saw on your Instagram you wrote that you rearranged your life for this opportunity. What exactly have you done?
Man, so on my way up to Bellator, um, I was working a full-time job. I was training outside of that. I'd go 7 to 3, and then I'd go train from 5 to 9 every night. And then I'd hit my weekend training. So it's just always a busy schedule, pretty typical up and coming fighter life if you're like really dedicated. And uh, but when I went into that Bellator room last time, we're all sitting around in the staging, and I just looked around there and I was like, there's a different energy to these guys. Half these guys aren't working 9 to 5 jobs. Half these guys are full time in the game, like making it work. And I told myself, especially because we came up short of that performance pretty abruptly, and it just hit me a certain way. And I was like, no, I'm gonna go home. I put in my 2 weeks, and I committed my entire life to training. Literally, all I do now, I'm either coaching or I'm training, and I wake up, hit my training schedule, and my fiance is a fighter too, so she understands my fighting, and uh, I train between Eugene and Portland and in Oregon. So there's about 2 hours between my two training gyms. And then when I'm not, like I said, when I'm not training now for an income, I'm doing private lessons, or I'm a head coach of like an amateur MMA team back in Springfield. So I'm studying, fighting, just living the life where like there's no distractions. Before that, as I'm working all day, my mind was still always on fighting. But by the time I got to the gym, like I'm tired. I'm like I'm just exhausted. So all of my energy goes into this now, and it's it's made a huge difference in a few different things. Like my availability, of course, is like, well, now I'm able to catch daytime practices, but also just like my energy through the day, my strength increases, like my connection with my coaches is increasing, my connection with my teammates is increasing because I'm like in this realm with guys who I train with who are also doing this stuff, whose whole life depends on it. Like my main training partner, he also makes the same commute as me, so we both train and live in Eugene or Springfield, and we go up to Portland 4 times a week. We also hit our conditioning here in Eugene, and when we're back here, we're meeting up with each other and we're training down here. And that's Brent Primus, uh, the former Bellator champ. So
Yeah.
like I'm I'm like with that guy constantly, just picking his ear and all that. And so like I'm living a life that I feel worthy. Like I feel like I deserve what I'm asking for. When I walked into that room before, I'm like, like especially Ahmed, like coming out of Khabib's camp, that dude, I don't know what, I know he can live that life. He's living that life dedicated, right? Just like Khabib said, I got bread, I got water, that's all I need. Like I know his fighters are living that same lifestyle. So I just wanted to make sure that I can't say I'm getting outworked again.
Kind of like leave no doubt. Is that what it
Exactly.
is? Hmm.
Exactly. No excuses now, right? Like, and like I'm gambling on myself. I'm it's not like I'm still the provider of my household. I'm still the one that keeps the roof over our head. I got a fiance and two soon to be stepchildren, and like I have to pay the bills. Rent's still due at the end of the month, whether I'm chasing my dreams or not. So uh I've learned to just work diligently, and like I always worked hard, but it's just a whole different thing. It's living like the life that I need to be living to be in this echelon of performance of like, be up here with the Bellator and like the other UFC fighters is not just like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I'm
Yeah.
all in.
There's a level of confidence, right, that you get from all of that. You get from
Yeah.
just investing 100% of your life to training to the sport. Like you said, you're studying it, you're coaching, you're engrossed in it, and you don't have the distraction. I don't want to say it's a distraction having a job, but it can be a distraction, right?
It is. And the confidence thing is huge. And like, uh like there's a few different reasons. Is one, all day you're thinking about this. So, for especially this time around, I'm 8 weeks to prepare for a fight. 8 weeks, every moment of my day is about that fight, right? There's no distraction. It's not like I spend half my day taking orders from a boss and getting in my ears, like going over, moving a bunch of heavy stuff, doing construction, and then okay, I have my 4 hours at night to tune in and think about this fight. And trust me, like that's part of the game. Like if anybody's listening to this kind of stuff and on their way up, they have to understand that's a part of it. You're gonna have to do that. There's a lot of guys who reach the big shows, especially like earlier on, who reach the big shows and work full-time jobs. But like once you start having to like figure out the balance of train more, work less, like kind of hit that trade. And but I'm just it allows you to be so much more confident also in the sense of like every day is preparing for this fight. So when I get to the fight, like I can hit my checks. I go over my checklist. Did I put in enough work to say to feel confident? Did I, like watch my diet? Did I, get the extra rounds in when the pros were training? Because I remember I'd get so like disheartened when I'm like at work working an 8-hour job and I look over at like Ricky Simone's page or I look over at Brent's page and I see they're all great sparring today and I'm like I want to be there, So I get to be there, and this is just everything my life is now. So my confidence level's way higher than it's ever been, and just tons of good energy going into this next bout.
What were you doing that what were you doing for this camp that you weren't doing for your previous camps because you had that full-time job? Of course, you're training more and you have more options to go to different locations, but were there anything in maybe recovery, like you said, recovery has become a major factor in this camp for you?
Yeah, that's actually a really big one. And this is like, uh, I in order before like when you go work that job, then you go and you train, and then you go home and you sleep. You want to like salvage your last little bit of family time that you get, so you're getting to bed a little later, and then you're waking up super early to go work. So like one, I'm getting a lot more sleep time. um, like I love my fiance. I like to be able to see her, and so like I get to have my nights with her and just kind of get to sleep in a little bit later, like until like 8 a.m. instead of getting up and out the door by 6 a.m. and stuff like that. And then um, the daytime trainings are a game changer because with the schedule that I've been stuck with, I've been fortunate enough to like have the pro coaches from American Top Team working with me at night in amateur classes. I would show up and be the only pro in a lot of these amateur classes because a lot of the pros were training during the day. Uh, so but they recognize the commitment that I'm putting in to like go work a full time and then drive 2 hours up to Portland and come train and then drive back, get home at midnight and go restart and do the thing over again, so they gave me a lot of attention leading up, but going into it, now I'm making every one of the like competition practices. I'm going into on Mondays, I'm going into hard competitions with black belts, and other career fighters. And like I'm kind of fitting the same training schedule as a lot of my main partners now, instead of being, most of the time, by the time I got up there, they were already done for the day. And so I was just kind of making do with what I could with the room I had, and then like when I now like my conditioning is all like 10 a.m. So I hit my 10 a.m. conditioning normally when I'd be at work, and then when I'm back in town, then I'm like, okay, by noon, I'm like, after 10 a.m., go over. I think it's like 10:45 or 11. I'll go meet up with Brant, and so then I just go spend one-on-one time with the former world champion, who's like also almost a third-degree black belt, very athletic striker, very good grappler, and we just we go through rounds, we go through like any Q&A type stuff, like this has been working, that's been not, what do we need to improve, let's fix this, put more time towards private lessons, and then like I said, just recover in between practices. I make it pretty ritual of like, I get up, hit my training, or get up and hit my conditioning, whatever it is that day, or get up and hit my drive to Portland, recover in between, go back, hit my second practice, recover in between. And sometimes I'll go into the gym like a lot of nights and go do like 10 to 11 p.m. and just an extra conditioning, and just kind of hit my 2 or 3 practices a day, and then just keep recovering. And, it stuff that I wasn't able to get away with as while I was working this full-time job. So like it just I feel like when you look at like these big show fighters, and um that kind of next step in between being like a guy who's winning regional fights and winning regional belts, and the guys who's like making a salary that can support their living, that's what it takes, is like multiple practices a day, but also recovering and coming back down and taking care of their body, understanding that like if you want to get the max out of yourself, you have to rest and refuel. Otherwise, you're just gonna run until like you hurt yourself. All of us are fighters. We all know how to work hard, but working smart's a very big part of this game. And only recently as it started like starting to show, you got guys like Max Holloway who started cutting back on sparring, uh, and other like high performance athletes understand that like it's not this game isn't just hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work. That's just a step in it, right? So being able to play all elements of it is really important. And then like I work with a chiropractor who works with just athletes, and so he does more than just chiropractic. He's like help me do like PT and stuff like that to stay, little bumps and bruises that come along the way, help me stay tuned in, and gives me a little exercise to go home. So sometimes when I'm not doing hard exercises, I'm doing small exercises that just to strengthen things up or keep them strong. So yeah, it's just really being able to pour everything into this, man.
During this training camp, did you get your car stolen?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really funny actually. I mean, I'm a pretty positive person. Yeah, I was up in Portland, 2 hours from home, man, and I had my first morning practice, and what's really funny about it is I'm like, we're jogging around the mats for a warm up, and someone asked me how my camp's going, and I'm like, suspiciously well. Like, it's going super good right now. Like, I haven't ran into any problems. This is pretty awesome. Okay, cool. I finished that practice, go run to Walmart to go grab just some money to pay for my private lesson. Next thing you know, I come out, my car's missing. I'm like, well, damn. So, um, yeah, it ended up going missing, and I had to have my fiance drive up and come pick me up, and then it was disheartening, but not too, like I try to stay positive. I'm like, well, I'm very fortunate that like I have my training partner that also makes the same commute, and so some days I like to stay a little later or put in a little extra work. So we weren't quite driving up all together every time. We'd take separate vehicles, but he was able to just get me up there and back, and then me and my fiance were able to trade the cars around, and I was able to use hers and go up there. And um, but for like a week, and like there were certain times we'd go up there and we'd start to search, and I'm like, man, I don't like this. I'm like, I don't like this like negative energy that I got while I'm searching around. Like I'm over here praying to God to help me find my car with some really ungodly intentions when I do find it, like uh, so it didn't match up. And I just remember like at one point I just tell myself, I'm like, or I'm talking with a teammate, and he tells me, he's like, your camp's been going too good, man. Like, there's, I think you'll get your car back. I think it will. And like, fight camp's got a weird way of like continuing through smooth and stuff like that, of just working out, right? And so I really do believe in that. And then there were other people who were like, man, it was a Honda Civic in Portland. There's over 12,000 cars stolen in Portland every year. Like, you're not getting that thing back. And so I'm already kind of starting to get on that stage of like, just move on, like figure out my training schedule. Surprisingly, it didn't really cause any problems in my training schedule. I still got it figured out, and was like, just trying to turn it all into these positive experience and be like, man, well, my car might have got stolen, but if I look at the blessings, well, I got a bunch of supportive people. I got my teammate, my camp's still going. Let's just look at the positive side of this and not get too like distracted. And if I spend too much energy and negativity towards my car, it could cost me this fight, and that could be my car a few times over, quite a few times over. And so I'm like, make it work, it'll be okay. And then 1 week later, I get a call from the police department, actually like a day after going to church and like talking to my uncle about like, I just don't like the negativity that goes through me as I start looking for my vehicle. I'm just gonna leave it all to God. Like, if he gives it back, cool. If not, then I'll look for the next blessing, and just kind of try to find the blessing in this. And I get a call, and they said they found it. And what the craziest part was is like, it wasn't torn up at all. It wasn't like, all they did was pull the battery and some spark plug wires out and left it, and still had gas in it. Stunk a little bit, but they actually like cleaned stuff up and like had all their garbage in a bag and like had cleaning supplies. And my window had been jammed, and that was how they got it, because my window was jammed and I couldn't get it all the way up at the point. And when I got it back, they fixed the window. So I got my car back, and it was just like, man, what a miracle, right? Like, your car goes missing in this like big metro city, and the times that we would look, every stolen car we were seeing is all torn up and beat to pieces or like scrapped. And I got a Honda Civic, so of course, like, it could be scrapped easy. But no, everything was good. So I just looked at it as like, look at that good energy you got going into this fight, and all I had to do was just keep positive, man. I think just the fight game kind of calluses us to that, like, we go through so much hardship every single day. So it makes it a little bit harder for things like that to stress me out too much.
Yeah, yeah, that's good, man. That's good to hear. Like you said, good energy. Now, your opponent, Kai Kamaka, man, he's still a young guy, but he has been around for many, many years. What type of fighter do you see in him?
I see somebody like, he's got it. He's got good skills, man. Like you said, like, he's a veteran. I watch him, and he's good at looking textbook. Like, especially like, I was watching kind of up on his last fight, and he looks very textbook, good stance, decent boxing. Uh, like he likes his counter boxing. It looked like, and I hear like, he used to be more of a brawler, so you could tell like he's a little more, as he's coming into his counter fighting and stuff, or trying to clean stuff up and not be as much of a brawler. He like may have been a little more gun shy his last fight, trying to avoid the brawl, or maybe he was trying to avoid the wrestler. Because I did know like that the wrestler in him ended up boxing for 3 rounds instead. Like, he had good takedown defense. But like, he came into the game, and he's been in the big shows for a while, and like, I have to respect that. You know, he's he's got a lot of good parts. I know he's got the college wrestling. Wrestled in Hawaii. I think he was a Hawaii state champ or something like that. So I know he's a pretty well-rounded fighter. Um, I know if he's anything like his Instagram, he's training hard. So I don't have as cool of an Instagram as him yet, but that's all right. I know that, I've trained with Hawaiians, and I know they got a lot of community support and family support behind them. And so, like, I see them. They all come together to help him grow. The Kamakas are a good name. And, like I got respect for the guy, like I said, he's clean. And sometimes though, like I like clean. I don't want to say like it gets clean. I like to make it dirty sometimes. Like I've noticed he's even kind of had different struggles with guys who got a little bit grittier. Like one guy who wasn't like as I don't want to say as skilled, but like who wasn't as textbook. The southpaw he fought before Justin when he came back from Bellator. The guy was a little more wild and aggressive, and Kai pulled it off well, but like it made him play a whole different game. And he does change games a lot, and I've paid attention to that. Kind of noticed he's got everything that he needs, but as he said in your guys' interview, he plays a lot of one or the other. So I'm expecting him to make improvements based on his last fight. I'm expecting him to change it up. I don't really base like, especially young guys. Like I'm only a year older than him, but we got a large library, right? Like, and so sometimes we bring a bunch of books, or do we just need to go down some other shelf? Like, but I'm expecting him to bring more than what he's brought before. I know he's good at decisions. He's had one finish early on in his career, but that's it's fighting. You can never tell when it's going to be more. So I think the Ahmed Magomedov guy didn't have very many finishes. That guy was legit. He was really good. So I don't like count anything out on him, but like I'm just excited to fight him. I like the opportunity. I know because he's been in the big shows and he was up in the UFC, came back to Bellator. They're probably going to put the blue gloves on me. And I'm okay with that because I'm trying to secure my next Bellator contract. So to me, it's an opponent that he isn't the same person as that Ahmed Magomedov guy, but I'm not the same Kevin that fought that guy either. Like that was on 9 days notice while I'm working my full-time job and cutting a bunch of weight in short notice to get there. So, like because of what he's done, I look forward to being able to perform against him and give Bellator a view on who I am, kind of show them that if I go out there and I perform well against this guy, maybe they start talking, because I only signed a 3-fight contract and I'm trying to stay. I don't want to go. So, like I want them to start talking and by the end of my fight about what my next contract looks like. And, I'll have this one and one more, but I want to go out there and put on a performance against a caliber of fighter like Kai and have them write my next one before my last fight. So then I think it's the perfect opportunity. And that's what I've been telling myself this entire time is this is exactly what I needed. Right. It's not like a world champ anywhere. He's good. He's good, but very beatable. With all respect, I don't, it's just I've been working way too hard to feel like I'm going to get outworked in that fight, or that I'm going to be the one for him to like kind of save his career on. Like, it's just not going to go that way.
December 9th, man. This is a great matchup. This Bellator 289. If you want to know more about the event, go download the AllStar app in the descriptions. Thank you so much, Kevin, for the time, man. It was a incredible conversation, and all the best.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you for having me on. Have a great day, brother.